It is 25 years after Zimbabwe's land reform of 2000, a period that changed Zimbabwe forever. In this film, we explore what has happened, seen through the eyes of 16 smallholder farmers from 4 different districts, all of whom benefited from land reform. The exchange visit encouraged sharing amongst farmers. Their experiences offer important lessons and suggestions for the future. The questions posed are: how are people using the land, and how has their contribution influenced livelihoods and local economies over 25 years? Join us, let's look and learn. We were welcomed with warm greetings and we had the official introductions. Effort was made to clarify the expectations of both participants and the research team.
Experience kana kuti rwendo rwamafamba semafarmers akapinda muminda kana rakatora ivhu.
Off key was understanding each farmer's journey, aiming to come up with working solutions for the A1 farmers. Now the trip begins. Our tour kicked off in Chatsworth under Kutu district. The research team explained how this small town is a major market for farmers around this area. Participants from this area also explained that they practice dryland cultivation of maize together with horticulture. Participants further explained how a nearby mission boarding school is always an available market, hence irrigated horticulture is important. We passed through Rufaro Mission, a major market for farmers as it hosts massive church gatherings who depend on local produce for food during their stay. By the time we reached Lonely and Clare, A1 land reform farms, a serious dialogue on land inheritance and adoption by the next generation had emerged. Emphasis was put on the need to ensure children inherit the land. As Imon Sibanda put it, I don't want to be seated in heaven seeing my grandchildren without land. It was all laughter across the landscape as we made our way to the councillor's home.
Norondka tachitaura kwemabuckets tanga tarima kuzasi kuti atakaisa zvimachitsime chitsime totora mvura panapa todiriza this section totorapo todiriza that section kusvika tadi takohwa.
We are now in Masvingo district at Wondedzo Farms. Local farmers in the exchange group have already shared that they are engaged in a lot of commercial horticulture. Many vegetables found in Masvingo town market comes from them. Water is key in growing vegetables, thus we see most of the horticulture farms are located along rivers, where drawing water for irrigation is much easier. Participants were keen to learn how the farmers here got startup capital and were able to launch such productive irrigation enterprises. The host explained that this was a slow and gradual process, starting with limited income from farming or off-farm employment, even a business, to buy a small pump and some pipes, then building up, expanding production. Participants took contact details of the farmers so that they can communicate further about horticulture. Adolf's story and how he managed to transition from a taxi driver who used to transport farmers to Masvingo into becoming one of the biggest tomato and keko farmer, is one of many success stories.
Yes, Baba.
At our next stop, we didn't find the farm owner at home, but Simon, his son, became the hero of the evening. When we speak of learning through practice and generational knowledge transfer, this is an excellent example. Simon knew all the processes and operations of the farm and has impressively self-engineered some working pumps around the farm without ever attending engineering school.
Simon Mawovi, zvagwa 2004 munomu tinorima zvirimwa zvakasiyana siyana.
When we went back into the vehicles, you could feel that everyone was tired and drained, and the drivers hit the highway in the calm of the night back to Masvingo. Early the next day, the participants met the market traders and retailers in Masvingo that our friends in Wondetso had talked about. We all learned about marketing challenges affecting the supply chain and explored ways around any challenges together. After visiting the market, we set off again and crossed the country from Masvingo to Matobo. Deep in the Rocky Mountains of Matobo, one could feel that the air was different. Although it promised to be a hot sunny day, our farmers from other provinces were curious to see the often spoke about big and taller keko of Matebeleland. The day started with a visit to a self-contained farmer who is involved in cattle and broiler farming. The farmer himself was not around, but participants were welcomed by the farmer's son and daughter who are involved in the day-to-day management of the farm. The participants were then taken on a tour of the farm and shown several investments, which became a perfect example of what could be achieved through accessing inputs and being able to build your own in-farm well to draw water. We then proceeded to visit the 4A1 farmers who were part of the exchange visit. These farmers are engaging in both livestock and dryland agriculture. Participants took keen interest in how farmers were managing their cattle, including the selection of breeds and marketing.
Salibonando. Libona pa imsakati afi aimoni swada.
We wrapped up the day with discussions on how to exchange farming techniques across our sites and how to initiate cross-province experiments to try out ideas shared on the trip so far. We headed south to Mapiza, a small town which is a testimony to how a growth point in a rural setting can rapidly grow if land-based projects are managed and supported well. After this brief tour, we then got some refreshments and we were off on a long journey to Mvurwi, which is 658 kilometers away in the north of the country. Participants had the opportunity to learn about tobacco production and marketing from our 4A1 farmers and one former farm worker. They also had an opportunity to learn about other agricultural activities, including livestock, horticulture, and fish farming. Celebrating the successes of land reform over 25 years, music was played and dances erupted, and we were joined by other locals who had come along out of curiosity. Yesterday, we saw the growing of tobacco, and today we visit the auction floors. First, we toured the town and heard from the town council officials how land reform has contributed to the town's growth. It was now our final day, and goodbyes are never easy for anyone. You could feel it in the air and you could see it in the farmers' eyes. Over the last week, the exchange group of 16 A1 farmers and the research team had bonded and had become like a family, taking care of one another along the way, but the tour had come to an end.
Shuwa ndakadzidza zvinhu zvakanaka. Vanhu vari kurumbidza ivhu iyi.
Zvokuti kubatana paimba zvinoita kuti kurima kwedu kusumukire.
Zvamadzidza izvozvi ndachikumbirisawo munosvikawo kumba muchinoudza vevai.
A short debrief under the cool shade gave opportunities for all participants to share observations and lessons learned. Reflections turned into discussions about the future and the need for continued communication. As we part ways, we hope this trip benefited everyone and motivated each farmer to improve operations back home and share the lessons.